homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. Today I am pickling some jalapeno peppers and a few other peppers as well. The black ones that are in here that you see are actually called Hungarian black, and they're a little more mild than a typical jalapeno, but very similar in size and shape. I have a mix of jalapenos that are green and jalapenos that are ripe. Jalapenos turn red when they are fully ripe. And they get a little bit sweeter. Normally, when I have a bowl of peppers like this, I make cowboy candy, but we still have some cowboy candy left over from last year. I'm not a huge pickled pepper eater, but my husband loves them and he puts them on all kinds of things. And this pickled pepper is not going to have a lot of sweetness to it. So it's just going to be a standard pickled jalapeno. And here's the thing that I really wanted to convey today, which is you can pickle any pepper. If you find a recipe and it's for pickled jalapenos and you have some other pepper on hand that you want to pickle, you can substitute that other pepper for the pepper that it's called for in the recipe, and it's going to be perfectly fine. So peppers are interchangeable in canning recipes, and so whatever you have on hand works. And you can vary the amount of salt and sugar that's in a recipe, just don't change the amount of vinegar. And so this is a recipe that I've been playing with that's originally from the Ball Blue Book. And there's two different recipes in there for pickled peppers. And I kind of did a combination of the two because I didn't want as much sweetness as was in some of them, but I maintained the amount of vinegar that's in there. So pickled peppers, very good basic beginner canning. If you're new to canning, this is a really safe, easy thing to do. And this is the last peppers of the season. And this will probably last us a couple of years because I think the last time I did this, it lasted us a couple of years. So pickled jalapenos, let's get started.
So this is a Cuisinart food processor, and it's the one that's recommended by America's Test Kitchen. I'm having my sweet husband, who is going to be the eater of most of these jalapenos, help me with the slicing. They're not staying 100% upright, and so I am getting some kind of longer strips, but it is well worth the slight change in visual to not have to hand cut this many jalapenos. It was a lot of jalapenos. So I'm doing what's called a raw pack, and that means that I'm not heating the vegetable before I'm putting it in the jar. So these are room temperature jars and room temperature jalapenos, and I'm just filling all of the jars, and then I end up going back. I pack them down a little bit and realize there's actually quite a bit more room in there once you pack them down. And so I end up consolidating a couple of these that I had filled and then realized I could get more into the other jars. And so I go back and redistribute. And then there was a whole second bowl of jalapenos that I completely forgot about. So I got all of these done and ready to go in the canner and then realized, oh wait, I have more. And so I ended up with a total of 14 jars or 14 pints of jalapenos here. So this is redistributing. I did throw in a couple of the Sugar Rush Peach peppers in this mix as well. So it's got regular jalapenos, pumpkin spice jalapenos, which are named because they turn yellow, not because they taste like pumpkin spice, thank God. Some Sugar Rush Peach and some Hungarian black. This little tamper here is called a pickle pusher, but it's really handy for this. And I'm not trying to smash the fruit, I'm just trying to pack it down so that I can get more in the jar. Vegetables have surprisingly a lot of air in them, and so you can get a lot more in there if you push them down a little bit. This is arbitrary how much salt I'm adding here. I'm doing a teaspoon of salt in each jar, and then I'm also adding a teaspoon of sugar. Neither of those are required. You could leave both of those out, or you could put more in if you wanted to. And then this is a product called Pickle Crisp, and it's a calcium product that just helps the fruit stay firm after it's been water bath canned. I'm adding 1/8 of a teaspoon per jar there. And then our vinegar mixture is going to be 3 parts vinegar to 1 part water. And this talking in ratios often really confuses people. So you basically just take, like if you wanted a cup of water, you would multiply that by 3 and you would have 3 cups of vinegar. If you wanted a half a cup of water and multiplied that by 3, you'd have 1.5 cups of vinegar. So you can vary it up and down depending on how much volume you have to do. I ended up doing this twice because I had twice as many jars. So this is the first batch, which was 6 cups vinegar, 2 cups water, and I'm just heating that on the back of my stove until it's boiling. And you can float a garlic clove in there and give it a little bit of a garlic flavor if you want. I opted to leave that out in this particular case. And then I am just pouring hot brine over my room temperature jalapenos. And I'm looking for a 1/4 inch of headspace on these. And they always tell you to debubble your jars. I get kind of frustrated with that because you spend all this time rooting around in there, and then the fruit itself has a lot of air in it that gets released when they come to temperature in a boiling water canner, and so you end up with air anyway. So I'm just smushing everything down a little bit with a spoon after I pour that hot brine in there, and then checking the level because the fruit is wanting to float. And then I'm re-topping it up to a 1/4 of an inch of headspace. This little graphic shows you where that is. They also make cool little tools that you can use for this process, but I've done it enough that I can usually just eyeball it. And then wipe your rims, of course. Any food or residue that's on there will prevent sometimes your jars from sealing. New caps, don't ever reuse canning lids. You want new lids. And then the ring goes finger tight. So just where you start to feel it, hang on. You don't want to really cramp it down, or you're going to not allow air to release from inside the jar as it's in that boiling water canner, and you want that air to be able to release and push its way out. Into the boiling water canner it goes. I needed to add a little bit more water. You want 1 inch of water over your jars. And then bring that back to a rolling boil and then start your timer. And this is just a 10-minute processing time, so pretty short. And that's all there is to it, you guys. So you can vary this recipe based on the type of peppers you want. You could leave in or take it out salt and sugar. This is just where I've landed as a general purpose, and I like it because I'm not having to add the salt and sugar to the brine itself. I can add it directly to the jars, which means it's much easier when I don't know exactly how many I'm going to end up with. I like to wipe the lids of my jars off. You'll hear people say that you shouldn't touch your jars or you're going to mess with the seal. I don't really have that problem. I have hard water and it leaves marks if I don't wipe them off before they dry. So here's our finished product. I ended up with 14 pints of pickled jalapenos, and this should last us several years. Beautiful. Give this recipe a try, tribe. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, leave me a comment, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and share. I have new content coming out every week.